Welcome back everyone to Blender and Unreal Engine, becoming a dungeon prop artist, and this is where we left off. Now let's make these little parts that are going to come in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift A because I've already got my cursor in the center. So if I press Shift A in object mode, so Shift A, bring in a plane. So we're going to start with a plane. It's just going to make it a little bit easier. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this plane all the way down. I'm going to press 7 to go over the top of my table, and I can see basically where these actual planks of wood are. Now, at the moment, I'm just going to pull it up. I want this basically to be in the center of these. So we'll get a little bit more creative with using our cursor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to come in with my face select, and I'm just going to grab this side and this side instead. I'm going to press Shift S, cursor to selected, and now press Tab. That means basically my cursor now is in the center of both of these planks, which means that when they come to hammer the bolts in and things, it would be right in the center. All right, so now I get my plane, press Shift S, selection to cursor, keep offset. And now it puts that right bang where my actual cursor is. And that's really, really handy because now I can just pull this up. I can press 7 to go over the top. And I now know that this is perfectly in line with these. All right, so now let's pull it out. So S and Y, let's pull it out like so. And now we need to give this some actual shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab, and I'm going to come into each of these ones here. So I'm going to press Control R to bring in an edge loop, move my mouse wheel up something like that. So let's say something like this, I think should be absolutely fine. In fact, I'm just wondering if I should come in and just put an actual edge down each of these. I'm probably going to be better like that. So what I'll do is instead of doing that, I'll press Control R and I'll bring in 2. So 1, 2, left click, right click. And now what I want to do is I just want to pull these out from each other and get them in the center of each of these. So if I press S and Y, I can pull them out and put them in the center. And then I can press Control R, left click, right click, and put that right in the center of there. So we should have 3, and they're actually lined up now with the actual planks of wood. Now what I need to do now is I need to kind of create these bits going in, and that's going to be hard at the moment because of the fact of I've only got 1 edge loop. So if I come in and grab all 3 of these edge loops, what you can actually do is you can actually press Control B and bring in a bevel. And you can see, because I already had that on 3, that we can bring in this bevel now, and it brings in actual 3 of them. So that's really handy. Now, the other thing is, when I bring this in, I want to bring it in kind of slowly. If I pull this out, you can see I've not got a lot of control of. But if you actually hold the Shift button, you can see now you can actually slow it down and bring it out. So I'm going to bring them out to something like there. I'm going to left click then and drop those into place. Now what I want to do is I want to bring these parts actually in. So I'm going to come to my face select, grabbing each of the middle faces now, and I'm going to press S and X, and bring them in like so. And then what I want to do now is finally bring this, so this edge on here, also in. But if I bring it in, so if I grab it now and press S and X, you can see it comes in like that really. I don't really want that because I want to have I want it to be a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, press Control R, left click, right click, come to this one, Control R, left click, right click, and now come to each of the ends and then press S and X, and now you can see bring them in. Tab, like so, and you can see that looks really, really nice. Now on mine, I actually made these a little bit smaller, but it's up to you. You've got the skills now to create these, so it's up to you how you want to do that. Now the next thing I want to do is basically I want to actually bring these out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab, I'm going to grab the whole thing, and then I'm going to press E, like so. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to bring them in a little bit, just to make them a little bit more ornate than the ones I actually created on the reference. So if I press 7 now to go over the top, in fact, I'll show you first. Because I've pressed E, it's not actually got anything selected except that top part. If you misclick or something like that, and this top part's not selected, I'll show you a little technique how you can actually select everything. So if you come to your face select, grab this face, and then just Control click on this end face, you'll just actually select them going all the way down. That's a really, really handy tip if you ever just want to, select a whole row of actual faces. All right, so let's go over the top again. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press the I button, and this is called the insert button, and it's basically going to insert from where my cursor is. So if I press I, you'll see you get a line there. Pull it in just very gradually if you need to. Hold the Shift button to bring it in slower. Now you will notice this is not coming in properly. And the reason is, again, because we need to actually reset our transformation. So let's press Tab, press Control A, all transforms, right click, set origin to geometry, and now let's go in. So Tab again, press the I button, and now you'll see it goes in really, really nicely. Now I've brought them in, I want to bring this up, so I'm going to press E, pull it up a little bit, press the Tab button, and now you'll see you end up with something like this. Now I think it's about time to actually start making this look much nicer than what it does. So what we're going to do while we're in object mode is we're going to actually bring on cavities. Now, you have 4 different options here. Now, we've not gone through these, so we'll quickly go through these now. We've got one that is our wireframe. So if I click on this one here, you can see I've got our wireframe. A little bit later on in the course, I'll show you how to click that one on without actually just coming up here and clicking it over here. But for now, just click it over here. You can see all the wireframe of our human, of our table that we've built. The next one is the object mode. This is the one that we're actually working with most of the time. The next one is material mode. So this will show basically all of your materials and things like that. It won't be lit or anything like that. It will just be with no HDRI, no proper lighting or anything. It'll just show you materials. At the moment, these materials, if I come over here to the right hand side, they don't actually have materials on. So Blender always puts it as white. And finally, the last one is our renderer. So this is going to be our renderer in real time. And as you can see at the moment, it's basically dark because we have no lighting in or anything like that. We're not going to worry about this at the moment. As I say, we'll worry about that a little bit later on. For now, though, I want to put this back on object mode, the one we're working on. And then what I want to do is I want to come to my little options here. So you've got this little down arrow here. And what you want to do is you want to come down and you want to put it on cavity. And you'll notice straight away what that does. It actually defines the lines much, much better, makes it look a ton better, and now you can really see what you're actually doing. This really helps, by the way, so if I pull this down onto my table, it really helps in deciding how thick you want everything to be. Now you will see as well that we do have a slight problem here in that these actual edges are wrong, so they're not actually in the right places. If I put a bolt in there, it's not actually going to fit. So we can either put our bolts in each of these. I think that's going to be the best way to go, or you can stretch it out depending on how you actually want it. So you can stretch it out by pressing S and Y or something like that. All right, so let's now bring in our bolts. Let's make sure though that this is right on the bottom there. I can see it just slotting in. I'm going to hold my shift button again, slotting in, something like that. And now let's bring in our bolt. So again, let's press Shift A and we're going to bring in a new primitive. And this time we want to actually bring in some bolts to hold this table together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift A and I'm going to bring in a actual UV sphere. Now at the moment, when you bring this in, you'll notice if you open up this menu that we have 32 segments going around here, 16 segments going around here. That is a lot of polygons for just a bolt. So I really want to turn this down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to where my segments are. I'm going to put this on 12, like so. So now you can see we've cut that down drastically. And let's put the rings on 10 or something like that. All right, something like that then looks probably a lot better to actually work with. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get rid of the bottom of this. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to use this as an actual bolt. And I want to use it in all of the, the things I'm building to make it easy for myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab, come up to Face Select. I'm going to grab all the faces going around here. So I'm going to grab one face. I want to press Alt Shift Click once, click it again, Alt Shift Click, and you'll see now it grabs them going all the way around there. Then I'm going to press Delete, come down to where it says Faces, and now you should end up with something like that. Come to the bottom part now, press L, and then what you're going to do is you're going to press Delete, and you're going to go up and delete vertices. And the reason I'm deleting vertices after that is because then it makes sure that we end up with no entities and things like that. In other words, there might be little points left over in your building things. They're called entities and they're not actually any kind of mesh. So to stop that happening, I just press delete vertices like so. All right, so now we've got this part. Let's press L. And the first thing I want to do is squish this because at the moment the bolt looks like that. It's a little bit too rounded. So I just want to press S and Z, squish it down like so. Press 7 to go over the top. I'm going to make it smaller. And basically, I want it to fit in between each of these. So if I press S, bring it down, something like that. And now I'll just pull it down. So pull it down into place. And at the moment, I want to just zoom in and see what I'm actually doing. But at the moment, you can see that when I zoom in, I'm not really moving around. It's a little bit hard. But if you press the dot button on the actual number pad, you'll see that it zooms you right in, and that makes it really easy then to come in and make these bolts the right size. So you can see it's a little bit big. Let's press the S button, make it a little bit smaller, and let's pull it into place just so it's in there like so. Let's press tab, and there we go. There is our bolts. Now let's press 7, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a few more bolts because I want to bring in one here, one here. I don't need to use a mirror because they don't need to be perfectly aligned or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift D, bring it over to this one, Shift D, bring it over to this one, and let's grab this one. So Shift D just to duplicate it on this one, and Shift D, duplicate again on this one, like so. All right, so far so good. Now let's join all of these together. I'm just looking here just to make sure that these are not popping off the edge too much. So I want it there, just looking at that one as well. And yeah, they look fine. So I'm going to grab all of these, not the table. I'm going to grab the metal part. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl J, join it all together. Now you can see that we've got these pots on here. Now what I want to do is I want to take a pot of this and I want to put it down here as well, and then I want to mirror them over the other side. So that's the plan for the next lesson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to File, Save, and there we go. Now as we move on through the course, everything will be sped up much more. This is just getting used to the basics. I'm taking it really kind of slow, but once we get a nice workflow going, it will be much quicker if you're a mid-level modeler or something like that. All right, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.